"I'll take it off, please," she said. The rancher looked down and was speechless. The sun was slowly going down behind the wide fields, painting the sky with soft orange and golden colors. The rancher had been working since early morning, fixing fences, checking on the animals, and making sure everything was ready for the night. His boots were covered in dust, and his shirt was damp with sweat. It had been a long day, and all he wanted was a quiet evening, a simple meal, and some rest. The ranch was far from the main road, surrounded by open land and tall grass. Most days, no strangers came by. The rancher liked it that way. He enjoyed the peace, the sound of the wind, and the familiar rhythm of ranch life. He was used to being alone, and over the years he had learned to trust only what he could see with his own eyes. Just as he was about to close the large wooden gate, he noticed someone standing a few steps away. At first, he thought his eyes were playing tricks on him. Visitors were rare, especially at this hour. He stood still for a moment, looking carefully. It was a woman. She looked tired, dusty, and out of place. Her clothes were simple and worn, as if she had been traveling for a long time. Her hair was tied back, but loose strands had fallen around her face. Her eyes moved quickly, as if she was nervous about being seen. She held her hands together in front of her, and her shoulders were slightly bent, showing signs of both physical and emotional tiredness. The rancher cleared his throat and spoke in a calm but cautious voice. He asked if she needed help. The woman looked at him, then looked down at the ground. For a few seconds, she said nothing. It felt like she was trying to find the right words, or maybe she was afraid to speak at all. Finally, in a soft and shaky voice, she asked if she could talk to him for a moment. The rancher nodded, though he was still unsure. He opened the gate wider and stepped back, giving her space to come closer. She walked slowly, as if every step required effort. Her eyes kept moving, checking the area, as if she was afraid someone might be watching. They stood near the fence, with the quiet sounds of animals in the background. The air was calm, but the tension between them was clear. The rancher could tell something was wrong. This was not just a simple traveler asking for water or directions. She took a deep breath, then said something that caught him completely off guard. In a low voice, she said, "I'll take it off, please." The rancher froze for a second. He didn't understand what she meant. His mind quickly tried to guess her meaning, but nothing made sense. He looked at her face, searching for clues. There was no sign of joking. There was no strange expression. Instead, her face showed fear, worry, and a deep sense of urgency. He raised his hand slightly and told her to slow down. He said she didn't have to do anything she didn't want to do. He wanted to understand what she meant before jumping to any conclusions. His voice was firm but not unkind. The woman swallowed hard. She looked around again, then back at him. Her hands were shaking a little. It was clear that whatever she was about to explain was very difficult for her. She said she wasn't talking about anything wrong or inappropriate. She said she only wanted him to see something important, something that would help him understand why she was there. She said she needed his help, but she didn't know how to ask for it in a normal way. The rancher listened carefully. He had learned over the years that people who were truly scared often spoke in strange ways. Fear could make words come out wrong. He told her she could explain in her own time. There was no rush. She nodded slowly. For a moment, she just stood there, breathing in and out, trying to calm herself. The rancher noticed small details about her: the dirt on her shoes, the tired look in her eyes, the way she kept touching her sleeve as if checking something underneath. He could feel that this was not a normal situation. His instincts told him that this woman was not here by accident. Something had pushed her to come to this remote ranch, to a stranger, at the end of a long day. He asked her where she had come from. She hesitated, and then gave a short, unclear answer. She said she had been moving from place to place. She didn't want to give names or details. It was obvious she didn't feel safe sharing too much. The rancher didn't push her. He knew that trust could not be forced. Instead, he offered her a glass of water. He told her she looked tired and that she could sit for a moment if she needed to. He pointed to a small bench near the fence. She sat down slowly, as if her legs were heavy. She took the water with both hands and drank carefully. After that, she held the cup tightly, staring at it, lost in her thoughts. The rancher stood a short distance away, giving her space but staying close enough to show he was there to listen. The sky was getting darker and the first stars were starting to appear. The peaceful setting felt strange compared to the heavy mood of the moment. She finally looked up at him again. Her eyes were shiny, as if she was holding back tears. She repeated softly that she needed to show him something. She said that if he saw it, he would understand why she had come, and why she was so scared. The rancher felt a mix of concern and curiosity. He had seen many things in his life, but this situation was different. He told her that she could show him, but only if she felt comfortable. He made it clear that she was in control of what she shared. She nodded again. Her breathing became a little faster. It was clear that this was not easy for her. The rancher noticed how careful she was, how serious her expression had become. This was not a casual request. This was something deeply personal and important to her. As she slowly prepared to explain more, the rancher felt a strange sense that this moment was bigger than he realized. A simple evening on the ranch had turned into something unexpected. He had planned for a quiet night, but now he was standing at the edge of a story he did not yet understand. He looked at her and saw not just a stranger, but a person carrying a heavy past. He didn't know what she was about to show him or say next, but he could tell that whatever it was, it would change how he saw her, and maybe how he saw his own quiet life too. The wind moved softly through the grass, and the animals made low, distant sounds. Time seemed to slow down as both of them stood there, facing a moment that felt important and serious. The rancher had no idea that this simple meeting at his gate was only the beginning of a much bigger story. The woman sat quietly for a few moments, holding the empty cup in her hands. The rancher could see that she was trying to gather her courage. Her fingers tightened around the cup and then slowly relaxed. She took a deep breath, as if preparing herself for something she had been afraid to do for a long time. The air felt heavy, even though the evening breeze was cool. The peaceful sounds of the ranch continued around them, but inside this small space near the fence, everything felt serious and focused on her. She finally spoke again, her voice low and careful. She said that what she was about to show him was not meant to shock him in a bad way. She said it was only meant to explain her situation. She wanted him to understand that she was not lying, and that she truly needed help. He kept his tone calm and respectful. He told her that she could take her time, and that she didn't need to rush. He wanted her to feel safe, not pressured. She looked down at her arms and gently pulled her sleeve back just a little. There was nothing inappropriate, but there were clear signs of old injuries and marks that showed she had gone through something very hard. They were not fresh, but they were serious enough to tell a story on their own. The rancher's expression changed. He did not step back, but his face showed concern and surprise. He had seen hard work injuries before, but these were different. These looked like signs of someone who had been treated badly or forced into difficult situations. She quickly pulled her sleeve back down, as if she suddenly felt exposed. Her eyes filled with emotion, and she looked away. She said she didn't want anyone to feel sorry for her. She only wanted someone to believe her. The rancher felt a heavy feeling in his chest. He realized that her earlier strange words were not what they had sounded like. She had not meant anything wrong. She had only meant that she needed to show proof of what she had been through, because words alone were not enough. He spoke gently and told her that he believed her. He said she didn't have to show anything else if she didn't want to. What he had already seen was enough for him to understand that she had suffered. She looked at him again, surprised by his kindness. For a moment, it seemed like she didn't know how to respond to being treated with respect. Her shoulders slowly relaxed, just a little. She then reached into her small bag and pulled out a folded piece of paper. Her hands were shaking slightly as she opened it. It looked like an old document, worn at the edges. She explained that it was something important from her past, something she had kept with her through all her traveling. The rancher leaned in just enough to see, but he did not grab it from her. He respected her space. The paper showed her name and some official-looking details. There were stamps and writing that suggested it had once been part of a serious process or report. She explained that this paper was proof that she had once asked for help before. It showed that she had tried to leave a bad situation, but things had not gone as planned. She did not go into deep details, but it was clear that her life had not been easy. The rancher felt speechless. He looked down at the paper and then back at her face. The weight of her story was heavy, even without every detail. He realized that she was not just tired from traveling. She was tired from carrying fear and memories for a long time. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The rancher could hear the soft sounds of animals and the distant call of a bird settling for the night. The quiet made everything feel even more serious. He finally said that he was sorry she had gone through so much. He told her that no one deserved to be treated badly or made to feel unsafe. His words were simple, but they were honest. She nodded, biting her lip to keep her emotions under control. She said that many people had not believed her in the past. Some had turned her away. Others had been too busy to listen. That was why she had been so nervous when she came to his gate. She didn't know if he would help her or send her away. The rancher looked at her carefully. He saw not just a stranger, but a person who had been trying to survive on her own for too long. He could tell that asking for help was not easy for her. It had probably taken a lot of courage just to walk up to his gate. He told her that she did the right thing by asking for help. He said that sometimes the hardest step was trusting someone new. He did not promise big solutions right away, but he promised that he would not ignore her. She let out a slow breath, as if she had been holding it in for a long time. Her face showed a small sign of relief. It was not happiness yet, but it was the first feeling of being heard. She explained a little more about how she had been moving from place to place, trying to stay unnoticed. She said she had learned to carry only what she could hold and to never stay too long in one place. Every time she thought she was safe, something would remind her of her past, and she would feel the need to move again. The rancher listened closely. He did not interrupt. He could tell that sharing even this much was difficult for her. Each sentence seemed to cost her effort. As he listened, he began to understand why she looked so tired, not just in her body, but in her spirit too. This was a person who had been living in fear for a long time. Fear of being found. Fear of not being believed. Fear of being heard again. The rancher felt a strong sense of responsibility growing inside him. He had lived a quiet life, mostly focused on his work and his land. But now, a real person with real pain was standing in front of him. Ignoring her would be easy, but it would not be right. He looked down for a moment, then back at her. His eyes showed that he was thinking deeply. When he spoke again, his voice was steady. He said that whatever had happened to her, she did not have to face this night alone. She looked at him with a mix of hope and fear. She had probably heard kind words before, only to be disappointed later. Still, something about his tone made her want to believe him. The moment felt heavy and important. What she had shown him had changed everything. The strange request from earlier now made sense in a different way. It was not about embarrassment or shame. It was about proof. It was about being seen and believed. As the sky grew darker and the stars became clearer, both of them stood there, knowing that this was a turning point. The rancher had looked down and seen more than just marks or a paper. He had seen a life filled with struggle. And the woman, for the first time in a long while, felt that someone might finally understand. After a long moment of silence, the rancher gently invited the woman to come inside the small house near the barn. The night air was getting cooler, and he could see that she was still tired and shaken. He did not want her to sit outside any longer, especially after everything she had shared. She hesitated at first. Walking into someone else's home felt like a big step for her. For someone who had been moving from place to place, trusting a stranger was not easy. Still, she nodded slowly and followed him at a careful distance. The house was simple but clean. There was a small table, a few chairs, and the warm smell of cooked food still in the air. A single light filled the room with a soft yellow glow. Compared to the dark outside, the space felt safe and calm. The rancher pointed to a chair and told her she could sit. He went to the kitchen area and poured her another glass of water. This time, he also placed a small plate of simple food on the table. He told her she didn't have to eat if she didn't want to, but it might help her feel stronger. She looked at the food for a moment, then quietly thanked him. She took small bites, slowly, as if her body was not used to eating regularly. The rancher sat across from her, not too close, giving her space while still showing that he was present. For a few minutes, neither of them spoke. The simple act of sitting inside, under a roof, seemed to help her relax just a little. Her shoulders dropped, and her breathing became more steady. After a while, she looked up at him and said that she felt she owed him more of the truth. She said that what she had shared so far was only part of her story. If he was really going to help her, he deserved to understand more. The rancher nodded. He told her that she could share as much or as little as she wanted. There was no pressure. He was listening because he cared, not because he needed every detail. She took a deep breath and began to speak more openly. She explained that she had once lived a normal life. She had a small home, a simple job, and people she trusted. But over time, things changed. Some people in her life began to control her choices. They made her feel small, as if her voice did not matter. At first, she tried to be patient and hoped things would improve. But instead of getting better, her situation slowly became worse. She began to feel trapped. Every decision felt like it was being made for her. She said she felt like she was living someone else's life, not her own. The rancher listened closely. He could hear the pain in her voice, even though she was trying to stay calm. Her words were careful, but the emotions behind them were strong. She said that one day she realized she could not continue like that. She gathered what little courage she had and tried to leave. It was not easy. She was afraid of what might happen, afraid of being followed, and afraid of being judged. When she finally left, she thought her problems would end. But leaving was only the beginning of a different kind of struggle. She had no real plan, no safe place to go. She moved from town to town, taking small jobs when she could, sleeping in places that were not always safe or comfortable. The rancher felt a deep respect for her strength. It was clear that she had survived things that would have broken many people. Even though she looked tired, there was something strong in her eyes, a will to keep going, even when life had been unfair. She told him that the hardest part was not the traveling or the lack of comfort. The hardest part was feeling invisible. She said that many people looked at her but did not really see her. They saw a tired traveler, not a person with a story. She also said that sometimes when she did try to explain, people did not want to listen. Some were too busy. Some did not want to get involved. Others did not believe her. Each time that happened, it made her feel more alone. The rancher felt his chest tighten as he listened. He realized how easy it was for people to ignore someone else's pain, especially when it made them uncomfortable. He was glad that he had chosen to listen instead of turning her away. She paused for a moment, gathering her thoughts. Her hands were wrapped around the glass of water, even though she was no longer thirsty. It seemed to comfort her just to hold something solid. She then told him about the night she decided she could not keep running forever. She said she had reached a point where she felt completely worn out. She knew she needed help, but she did not know where to find it. That was when she saw the ranch from the road. She said something about the quiet land and the open space made her feel a small sense of hope. It looked like a place where people lived simple, honest lives. She thought that maybe, just maybe, someone there would listen. Walking up to the gate had taken all her courage. She said her heart was beating fast and her mind was filled with fear. She had practiced what she would say, but when the moment came, the words came out wrong. That was why she had said something that sounded strange. The rancher finally understood completely. He could now see how fear, stress, and exhaustion had mixed together in her mind. Her strange words were not planned. They were a desperate attempt to be understood. He told her that he was glad she had come. He said that even if her words had been confusing, her courage to ask for help was clear. He also told her that she did not have to explain herself perfectly. What mattered was that she was safe right now. Tears quietly filled her eyes. She quickly wiped them away, not wanting to seem weak. But the rancher did not see weakness. He saw relief. He saw someone who had been holding too much inside for too long. She said that, for the first time in a long while, she felt like she could breathe a little easier. Just being in a place where someone listened without judging made a big difference. The rancher leaned back in his chair and thought about his own life. He had always believed in hard work, honesty, and helping when he could. But he had never expected to be placed in a situation like this. He realized that helping her was not just about offering food or a place to sit. It was about offering respect, time, and understanding. It was about seeing her as a person, not a problem. As the conversation continued, the room felt warmer, not just because of the light, but because of the growing trust between them. They were still strangers, but they were no longer distant. The woman looked around the small room and said softly that it felt peaceful. She said she had not felt true peace in a very long time. The simple sounds, the steady light, and the calm presence of another person made her feel safer than she expected. The rancher told her that peace was something everyone deserved, no matter what they had been through. He said that sometimes life gave people hard roads, but that did not mean they had to walk them alone forever. The night grew deeper outside, but inside the small house, something important had changed. What began as a confusing meeting had turned into a real conversation. The woman was no longer just a visitor at the gate. She was a person with a story that mattered. And the rancher, who had started the evening expecting only silence, now found himself becoming part of someone else's journey. a journey that was far from over, but no longer completely lonely. The next morning, the first light of the sun slowly filled the ranch with a soft golden glow. The woman had not slept deeply, but she had rested more than she had in many days. The simple bed, the quiet room, and the feeling of safety helped her body relax, even if her mind was still full of thoughts. The rancher was already awake, as he always was. His daily routine never changed much. He fed the animals, checked the fences, and walked the land to make sure everything was in order. But that morning felt different. Her words stayed in his mind as he worked. When she finally came outside, she looked a little stronger than the night before. Her face still showed tiredness, but there was also a small light in her eyes, a sign of hope. She stood quietly for a moment, taking in the open space, the fresh air, and the peaceful sounds of the ranch. The rancher greeted her with a kind nod and offered her a simple breakfast. They sat at the small table and ate in comfortable silence for a while. Sometimes words were not needed. The calm itself felt healing. After breakfast, the rancher knew it was time to make a serious decision. Helping her for one night was one thing. Offering real support was something much bigger. He walked with her along the edge of the field, where the grass moved gently in the morning breeze. He told her honestly that helping her could bring trouble to his quiet life. He was a private person. He did not like attention or problems. But he also told her that turning her away did not feel right to him. The woman listened carefully. She did not want to be a burden. She said she never meant to cause problems for anyone. All she wanted was a chance to feel safe and to rebuild her life in a small, simple way. The rancher stopped walking and looked out over his land. He thought about the years he had spent building this place with his own hands. He thought about how lonely it could be sometimes, even though he loved the quiet. He also thought about the values he had learned growing up, that helping someone in need was not weakness, but strength. Finally, he turned to her and told her his decision. He said she could stay for a while. Not forever, and not without clear rules, but long enough to rest, think, and plan her next steps. He said she could help with small tasks around the ranch if she wanted, so she would not feel like she was just taking without giving. The woman was surprised. For a moment, she could not speak, and her eyes filled with emotion. She quickly thanked him, her voice shaking. She said she did not know how to repay his kindness. He told her that she did not owe him anything big. He said that sometimes people just needed a safe place and a fair chance. That was enough. Over the next few days, the woman slowly became part of the ranch's simple rhythm. She helped with small chores, carrying light tools, feeding smaller animals, cleaning around the house. The work was not heavy, but it gave her something important, a sense of purpose. Each task she completed made her feel a little more human again. She was no longer just someone running. She was someone doing, helping, and being useful. That feeling slowly rebuilt her confidence. The rancher watched her quietly. He noticed how careful she was, how she always asked before doing something new. He could tell she was afraid of making mistakes or being a problem. He made sure to speak kindly and clearly, letting her know when she was doing well. As the days passed, small conversations began to grow between them. They talked about simple things, the weather, the animals, the changing seasons. Sometimes they shared small memories from their pasts, not the painful ones, but lighter moments that reminded them they were more than their struggles. The rancher shared stories about how he had built the ranch, piece by piece, after many years of hard work. He talked about mistakes he had made and lessons he had learned. The woman listened closely. His honesty made her feel more comfortable sharing parts of her own hopes for the future. She said that one day she wanted to have a small, peaceful life. Nothing fancy. just a place where she could wake up without fear and go to sleep without worry. She wanted to feel in control of her own choices again. The rancher told her that was not too much to ask. He said that everyone deserved a life where they felt safe and respected. His words were simple, but they carried deep meaning for her. There were still moments when fear returned to her eyes. Sometimes a loud sound or an unexpected visitor on the road would make her tense. The rancher noticed these moments and made sure to remind her gently that she was safe on his land. He also made it clear that if she ever felt uncomfortable or needed space, she could say so. He wanted her to feel that her voice mattered now, that she was no longer someone whose feelings could be ignored. One afternoon, as they worked near the barn, the woman suddenly stopped and looked around. For a brief moment, panic crossed her face. The rancher noticed and calmly asked what was wrong. She admitted that sometimes her mind still expected trouble, even when none was there. She said it was hard to unlearn fear after living with it for so long. The rancher nodded with understanding. He told her that healing took time. He said that just because fear showed up did not mean it was in control anymore. Each safe day helped weaken it, little by little. These words stayed with her. She began to notice small changes in herself. She laughed once at something small, and the sound surprised her. She had not laughed freely in a long time. It felt strange, but good. The rancher also felt changes in his own life. The ranch no longer felt as empty as before. There was a new presence, a new energy. He found himself looking forward to simple talks and shared meals. Still, he knew this situation could not last forever without a plan. One evening, he gently brought up the idea of thinking about her next steps, not because he wanted her to leave right away, but because he wanted her to move forward with strength, not just hide. The woman appreciated his honesty. She said she did not want to depend on him forever. She wanted to stand on her own again. But for the first time, she felt like that future might actually be possible. They agreed to take things one step at a time. No rushing, no pressure, just small, steady progress. The ranch, once just a quiet place of routine, had become something more. It had become a place of rebuilding, of small hopes, and of quiet courage. The rancher's choice to help had changed both of their lives. He had chosen to open his peaceful world to someone in need, and the woman who had arrived with fear and confusion was slowly learning what it felt like to belong somewhere again. Even though the future was still uncertain, one thing was clear. This choice, this simple act of kindness, had created a turning point, a place where pain began to lose its power, and where new strength quietly started to grow. Done Your Part 4 has been fully expanded in simple English, clean, emotional, and engaging, with no violated or sensitive content. Whenever you're ready, send Part 5 and I'll expand it the same way for you, keeping the story strong and audience-friendly. The days slowly turned into weeks, and the ranch began to feel less like a temporary stop and more like a place of true change. The woman's body grew stronger, and her mind became calmer. Each morning she woke up with a little less fear and a little more hope. The simple routine of ranch life gave her something she had not felt in a long time: stability. She learned the rhythm of the land. She knew when the animals needed feeding, when the sun would be too strong, and when the evenings would grow quiet and peaceful. These small patterns helped her feel connected to something real and steady. It was no longer just about surviving each day. It was about living each day with purpose. The rancher also noticed the change in her. She walked with more confidence. Her voice became clearer. She no longer looked at the ground as much when she spoke. Shh. These small signs meant a lot. They showed that she was slowly finding herself again. One evening, as they sat outside watching the sky change colors, the woman spoke about something important. She said she had been thinking a lot about her future. She did not want to stay hidden forever. She wanted to build a life where she did not have to run or be afraid. The rancher listened carefully. He told her that this was a brave thought. Facing the future took courage, especially after everything she had been through. He said that fear might still be there, but it did not have to control her choices anymore. She nodded. She said that being on the ranch had helped her remember who she really was before life became so heavy. She remembered that she was strong, kind, and capable. She had lost sight of that for a long time, but now she could feel it returning. They talked about simple goals, not big dreams, but small, real steps. She talked about finding steady work in a nearby town, something honest and simple. She wanted to save money, get a small place of her own, one day, and stand on her own feet again. The rancher supported her ideas, even offered to help her look for opportunities when the time was right. He said he knew people in nearby areas who might be able to offer work or guidance. He wanted her to succeed, not because he felt sorry for her, but because he believed in her strength. At the same time, he made it clear that she did not have to rush. Healing was not a race. Taking time to prepare was part of being smart and kind to herself. The woman felt grateful, but more than that, she felt respected. That respect meant more to her than any gift or favor. It reminded her that she was not broken. She was someone rebuilding. One morning, she surprised herself by smiling for no reason at all. It was a small moment, but it meant everything. It showed her that joy could return even after long pain. The rancher noticed these small victories, too. He felt proud, in a quiet way. He had not planned to become part of someone else's healing, but now that he was, he understood how powerful simple kindness could be. As time passed, she began helping more around the ranch, not because she had to, but because she wanted to. She took responsibility for small areas and treated them like her own. The rancher trusted her, and that trust made her feel valued. They were no longer just two people sharing a space. They had become a small team. They respected each other's space, but they also supported each other in quiet, meaningful ways. One afternoon, a visitor stopped by the ranch to ask about some work in the area. It was a normal, simple visit, but it made the woman nervous at first. The rancher noticed and stayed close, not in a protective way, but in a supportive one. After the visitor left, the woman realized something important. She had felt nervous, but she had not felt helpless. She had stayed calm. She had not frozen. This was a big change for her. She shared this with the rancher, and he smiled softly. He told her that this was proof of her growth. Fear might still appear, but it no longer had the same power. As the seasons slowly began to change, the land showed new colors. The air felt different. The ranch felt alive in a new way. These changes in nature felt like a reflection of what was happening inside her. One evening, she told the rancher that she thought she was almost ready to take her next step. Not that she wanted to leave right away, but that she felt strong enough to start planning for life beyond the ranch. The rancher felt mixed emotions. He was happy for her, but he also knew he would miss her presence. Still, he knew that real help meant supporting her independence, not holding her back. He told her that he would always be glad that she came to his gate that evening. He said that her courage had changed his life too. It reminded him that even a quiet life could have moments of deep meaning. She thanked him for believing in her when she had trouble believing in herself. She said that his simple actions, listening, offering space, and showing respect, had helped her more than he might ever know. They stood quietly for a moment, watching the sun go down, just like on the first day they had met. But now, everything felt different. What had once been a moment of fear had become a memory of strength. The woman realized that her story was no longer just about running. It was now about choosing. Choosing safety, choosing growth, choosing hope. The rancher realized that sometimes the most important changes in life did not come with loud events or big signs. Sometimes they came with a knock on a gate, a strange sentence, and a simple decision to listen. As the stars appeared in the sky, both of them felt a quiet sense of peace. The future was still unknown, but it no longer felt dark or frightening. What had started with confusion had ended with understanding. What had started with fear had ended with courage, and what had started with a strange request had become a true turning point, not just for the woman, but for the rancher too. In the end, the ranch was not just a place on a map. It became a place of healing, of second chances, and of quiet strength, a place where two strangers found meaning in helping each other move forward. And as the night settled over the land, one simple truth remained clear. Sometimes, the smallest acts of kindness create the biggest changes in a person's life.